Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the second hour of this introductory session. This is about building statistical competencies for with Excel for managing business. I was here in the first hour. For people who didn't come to the first hour, just briefly touch the things. First of all, acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands where QUT stands today for teaching, learning, and research, and acknowledge the continuing roles of Aboriginal people play in the QUT community. So my name is Yulin. You can find my webpage on QUT website. This is from the first hour. So basically, I will run 10 Excel workshops from next week until week 11 to cover these 5 general areas of statistical skills. The first couple of weeks will be data visualization and then calculating some commonly used statistical formulas, and then probability, and then statistical inference, and the last one is about statistical modeling. This is the link to register for the next 10 workshops. They are usually on Wednesdays between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Occasionally on Tuesday and Friday. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. Oh, wait, not this one. Here's the, here we go. Okay. Come on. So here's the link. So if you didn't see the link before, this is a link to register for the next 10 workshops. And you can also use a QR code if you like. I will all the workshops will be on campus in the same room, Guidance Point P Block 419. I think some people are not available during the day or the time, so I will video record those sessions. But if you want to get a notice about this recording, please register for those workshops. And then after each workshop, I will email all the registrants the video recording, the link to the video recording. This is a book I said. Some people asked me to recommend a book for business statistics. It's the book. There are many books. There's one of them. Okay, so Excel. Okay, so in this hour, we'll probably finish before 12. I will have a quick demonstration of the Excel, how we can use Excel to deal with data. So of course we don't have time to, we won't be able to cover everything. So that's why I will invite you to the my workshops from week 2 to week 11. So Excel can be used for different purposes. It can be used to organize data or manage data as a database tool. It's a calculator, of course, and you can use Excel to generate data visuals. It can perform statistical analysis and more. Let's get to the business. So I'm going to share my share a file with you. Yeah, you can work with it if you. So I'm going to share a file. Attach a file. Yeah. From my computer. Yes. So Excel. Where is it? Oh, here. So here's the file. It's an Excel workbook. It's being uploaded. Okay, can you see the file now? You can download and then play with along with me. Load it. Give it a few seconds. Can you see the file in the chat? If you go to the chat, you can see the link to register my workshops, and then here's the file for you to download the playlist. It's called a UniRank 2022. Thank you. You can see people can see it. Yeah. So you click the ... and can download the file onto your local machine. Okay, desktop. Thank you very much. Thank you, John. Thank you, Kim, Luis. All right. So I'm going to open Excel and have a quick look of some things we can do. Some of the things we can do with Excel. So in this demonstration, if you have any questions or any concerns or anything, you get stuck anywhere, just feel free to yell out. Okay. Okay. So first of all, when you open an Excel file, you will be asked to enable the content. Otherwise, you won't be able to edit the file. So feel free to enable the content. I can guarantee there's no virus or anything nasty in the file. Enable the content. Enable the content, please. Yeah. And the data in the is in the spreadsheet called this one. UniRank 2020. Oh, should be 2022. Why 2023? Yeah. So everyone can see the file. This is the data we'll play with in the next half an hour. Okay. Okay. All right. So basically, this is the file. You can see Excel normally, or this is one file. I said it's called the Excel workbook. So that's the proper name of an Excel file. It's an Excel workbook, a workbook. So in my computer, it's like this: UniRank 2022, Excel SX. That's an Excel workbook file. Okay. As in this workbook, we can have a multiple worksheet. So currently there are 3 worksheets. Okay, and this one's the worksheet for data, UniRank 2023. I think you can add more worksheets if you like. Maximum 256 worksheets. I'm not quite sure. I never use that many worksheets in my in one workbook. Normally 3, 4, or 10 worksheets. That's probably enough. But technically, you can add hundreds of worksheets in one workbook. And then usually we organize data in using worksheets. So we call them spreadsheets. Currently, our data is here. Is in column A, B, C, D, E, 5 columns, and 38 rows. Very small data set. 5 columns, 5 variables, 38 rows. 37 observations because the first row is used for variable names. So we have we have Australia rank, worldwide ranking, university's name, the home city, and the state or territory. Okay, any questions so far? Demo. Oh, we have a question here. Oh, hang on, let me just reply to this question, you student. Okay. Yeah, I think I was using the same link, maybe not. Yeah, anyway. Okay. Any question about data? So these are the this is real data. Okay, we have the rankings of 37 Australian universities, domestically and then internationally, and they're nominated home city and then state and territory. No questions? Okay. Okay. So first of all, let's see. I have a demonstration here. So let's say I want to find out which units nominate Brisbane as the home city. So there are different ways to do it. So the quick way is just to use a filter. So the city variable is in column D, this column, the cities. So I can go to home and then turn on this filter here. So if you go to home and then go here, you will see you can turn on filter. Okay, you can turn on the filter for this column, or you can highlight multiple columns and then turn on the filter for all the columns. Okay, Control Z to undo. So I just need a filter for column D for the moment. So I turn on the column D filter, and then you can see this little drop down menu, drop down button here. So if you open that button, you will see the filter lists all the distinct values in this column. Okay, so I have 37 entries, but they are different. They have a less than 37 values because some entries have the same value. For example, the first two entries they have the same value, Canberra, and then entry 3, entry 4, entry 5, 6 they have the same value, Sydney. Okay, so this filter will list all the distinct values. So I only want the ones using Brisbane as the city. So I can turn off all of them, unselect all of them, and then only select Brisbane, and then OK. So now I have a filter out 4 entries who nominate Brisbane as the home city, and I didn't expect the last one. Let's be maybe there's an error in the data because I got data from website. I think this university is from Victoria. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a quick way to filter out the things you want using the filter. Okay. Any questions so far? You may know this already, I guess. Who knows this already using filter? I guess most people know it. All right, okay, filter. But the next thing I show you, I guess most people don't know because it's a new function in Excel. So let's see, I want to my selection criteria become a bit complicated. Now I want the cities. I want to see the universities, which use Brisbane as a home city, and they are ranked as top 10 in Australia. Okay, so my criteria changed, not just the home city as Brisbane, but also ranked within top 10 in Australia. So I have a two sub criterion. Okay, home city equal Brisbane, and then university domestic ranking less than 10. Of course, you can do this using filter. You can turn on the filter for column D for home city, and also a filter for column A, domestic ranking. Okay, or filter for all of them. Okay, so now I have a filter for each column. So I can say, okay, I want the filter. I want to filter out the universities that are in Brisbane. Also, I go to column D and then turn on just Brisbane. Okay, and then I go to column A, and then I just turn on the values less than 10. Okay, I got the result. That's the uni we know. That's up the river. Okay, but that's probably not the best way to do it because you can see you have a multiple filter in the columns, and then suppose you finish this job and then you close the file, and then 2 days later you come back and you open the file again. You probably forgot everything about the filter settings. So this is a simple example, only 5 columns, but you have like 25 columns, and then you filtered on like 3 columns. You probably forgot that after 2 meals or 2 sleeps. Okay, so I don't recommend doing the data filtering this way. So I Control Z or this one, undo. Okay, so this filter button, this button here, filter button, is just a quick way to check data. Okay, a quick convenient way to check data, but I wouldn't recommend using that for proper data processing if you want to filter out entries or rows according to some simple or complicated criteria. And then how would I do it? I will use a filter function. Okay, this filter function is a new function Excel just released a few years ago. Okay, so we can use a filter function. Okay, Is everyone still with me? If you get lost or get stuck, just feel free to yell out. Okay. All right. And then what do? I'm going to use, if I zoom in a little bit. So this is the filter function. So first of all, you tell the filter function the range of data you want to filter. You want to apply the filter. Okay, for us is A2 to E38. Where's A2? A2 here. The first cell, top left, and the E38 is the bottom right. Here. Okay. And then you tell Excel the criteria. Here, this one. My criterion is composed of two sub-criteria. The first one is the column D, the city column is equal to Brisbane. And the second sub-criterion is top ranking, university ranking, domestic ranking, column A, value is less than 10. And then I used AND to connect the two sub-criteria because I want the universities that satisfy two sub-criteria. Okay, then they should be use Brisbane as a home city and also ranked within 10 within Australia. So you have to meet both sub-criteria at the same time. That's why I say it's an AND connector. And then in Excel, you use the multiplier here, the multiplication symbol to represent the AND function, the AND operation. Okay, so let's give it a try. So you can copy this. Not copy because you need to find this one. So I'm going to you can see here, I already have it, in my file I share with you. So I go to cell G2. Okay, in cell G2, I can type this filter here. Okay, so I type equal sign. Every time you in cell you start the function, you start with the equal sign in the cell. Equal sign, and the function name is called a filter. filter. Okay, and then the array of data, I can just use if I just delete everything here. So I go to G2 and then I type my function here, equal sign, and then I'm gonna use a filter function, filter. I get a hint from if you know programming, you get a hint from the computer. So the hint of the functions start with FIL, and I want to use a filter. So I double click the filter one. And then the array is A2 to G38. So I can use my mouse to select it. Okay. If you don't want to type, you can just use a mouse to select the range of data. Okay. So I just select the first row, A2 to E2, and then I can press Control Shift down. Okay. If I have a long list, I can use this trick. That's my range of data. I want to apply the filter and then comma. The including criterion is column D has to be D2 to D38 has to be equal to some value, and then this value is a text, text. So you have to put the text value into a pair of double quotes. It's Brisbane. Excel coding is not case sensitive, so it doesn't matter if it's lowercase or uppercase. Okay, but the spelling has to be correct. Okay, and then that's my first criterion. If I just end here, I will get the universities that use Brisbane as the home city. So if I close the bracket and enter here, you can see I have these 4 universities here. And I don't know why this federation unit show up here. Must be some typo in the original data. I got data from this website. If you are interested, if you go to the first cell, A1 cell, you can see that I have a little comment there. It's comment. If you hover at the top right corner, you can see comment. This is the website I got the data from. Okay. It's from Times Higher Education. It's official website. Okay, and then okay, but now my criterion is a bit more complicated. I have 2 sub criteria. City has to be Brisbane, and university ranking has to be less than 10. So I can combine these 2 sub criteria using the AND operator. In Excel, the AND operator is just multiplication. So I put the first sub criteria in a pair of brackets, and then times shift 8 times. And another bracket, that's for the second criteria. A1 to A2 less than 10. So now, because 10 is a number, you don't have to put a number value in the pair brackets. Only when it comes to text or characters, we put the values in the pair brackets. Okay, so now I have a two subcriterion criteria, and then I use the AND operator code to combine those two subcriteria, because I want my universities that meet both criteria at the same time. Okay, they have to be top 10 domestically, and also use Brisbane as the nominate Brisbane as their home city. Okay, and then I close the last bracket, because that's for the filter function. I close that bracket, and then I enter. I get the result. That's the only one unit that is in Brisbane and also ranked top 10 in domestically. That's the university we know up the river, right? Any questions here? Any questions? Okay, all right, yeah. Yeah, so this is the proper way of filtering data using the filter function. I guess many people don't know this because the filter function is relatively new. Okay, thank you for your feedback. Okay, thank you for feedback, Tachi, John, and Costa. Yeah, and then it's more elegant than using the I call them ugly filter buttons, because I have some bad experience of using the filter buttons because I forgot what I did long time ago. And also when you are sharing a file with your colleagues, you have multiple people working on the same file, and then if they all turn on their own filter, and then that is a disaster. As a disaster. So you don't want to go there. So use a filter function. Okay. If you have no programming background, this may feel a bit kind of scary, but it's not that hard to learn. And then once you know how to use it, it's very, very good. And then that's the AND operator. So how about I want all the universities that are either in Brisbane or ranked top 10 in Australia. Okay, so this time, remember, be careful here. I use the OR operator to connect the both sub-criteria. Okay, so either in Brisbane or top 10 or both. Okay, so basically, when I have a sub-criteria and I use the OR operator to connect them, that means I want the entry to meet at least one of the sub-criteria. Okay, they can meet both of them, that'd be perfect. But as long as the university meet any one of the sub-criteria, that university will be included in my filter. It will be show up in my filtering results. Okay, so how to change from AND to OR? You just have to replace the multiplication operator with the addition operator. Okay, so go to our cell in G2 cell. So I'm going to replace this AND operator, which is multiply, with the OR operator logically. Okay, that is just the sum. Okay, and then I enter. Okay, you get these units that are either ranked top 10 in Australia or use Brisbane as their home city. Okay, or maybe both, like UQ. Okay, but as long as they meet one of the sub-criteria, they will be included in my filtering results according to this OR logic. Okay, OR logic. Yeah. Okay. Any questions here? Any question? All good? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. That's good. Very good. Very good. How about not? Since we know an and or, how about not? That is another commonly used logical operator in Excel. If you want to mean not, you use this symbol. Yeah, it's a bit funny. It's the not equal symbol. Okay, so not equal operator. Okay, so for example, we want the universities that are not in Brisbane, but is ranked top 10. Okay, so here we go to our G2. So we want the university that are not in Brisbane. So left arrow, right arrow, and not in Brisbane, and top 10. So replace the submission with multiplication. So not in Brisbane and top 10. Okay, and so these units are not in Brisbane, but ranked top 10. Quite a few of them, right? In Sydney, Canberra, one in Melbourne, and one in Adelaide, one in Canberra, and one in Perth. Okay, cool. So you can see this is, we call this filter as is an example of something called a dynamic array functions in Excel. Dynamic array functions in Excel. They just released a bunch of them 2 or 3 years ago. Microsoft did a good job. Okay, you can see I just have to type the function formula in one cell. That is cell G2, and then I got an auto spill of a bunch of data, an array of data, a range of data. So now I have 5 columns and multiple rows. Okay, and if you click the other row cells in this array, you will see the gray out formula. Okay, because you can't edit them. You can only add the formula in this original cell. That is G2. Okay, so you can edit you can double click to edit your formula. Otherwise, you can go to this formula editing this area to edit the formula. Okay, and then if you ask me what's the mathematics behind it? If you highlight this, if you highlight one sub-criterion like a D2 to D38 equal to Brisbane, if you highlight this one, and then if you control, if you press F9 or function 9, depending on which kind of a setup of your keyboard, function 9, F9, you will see behind that is kind of evaluation of all the rows by that sub-criterion. Our sub-criterion, the one I highlighted, is just column D equal to Brisbane. So have a bunch of true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay. If it's Brisbane, it is if the criteria is true and it's true, otherwise it's false. And then how to go back? You have to press Control Z to go back. Otherwise, you lose your original formula. So Control Z, go back, and then Enter, or EXC, or ESC. Okay, or Enter to jump out of the editing mode. Okay, and then if you check the other sub-criterion, same thing. Function 9, F9 is a bunch of true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay, Control Z, go back. So if you have an AND operator, that means then multiplication here. And then true multiplied with true is also true. True multiplied with false is false. And the false multiplied false is also false. Okay. So that's why we use this multiplication to represent the AND operator. And if it's a OR operator, logically OR, then it will be a summation. So true plus true is true. True plus false is also true. And then, but the false plus false is still false. Okay. Yeah. Am I right? I think I am. Yes, I'm right. Okay. So this is one the best way, I think, to filter data using the filter function. All right. So if you come to my workshops throughout the semester, I will introduce a few other dynamic array functions in Excel. They are very cool, very easy to use, and then very powerful as well. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, let's keep going. So this one, I guess, is probably a bit hard for some people. Let's move to some. Not yet. I'll move to some easier one very soon. So I just want to show you one more thing. So suppose we want to calculate some summary statistics of the international ranking of my filtering results. So I want to calculate the average, the highest and lowest world rankings of the results I get from the filtering function. What can we do? We can use the average minimum and the maximum function in Excel to calculate the mean, the minimum, and the maximum of a range of data. So that's the average, minimum, and maximum. As we're going to combine our statistics formulas, average, mean, and max, with some data processing formula called index. Okay, so I have example here in cell M, this one, column M. Okay, if you have my shared file, you can see that column M. So anyone doesn't have the shared file, if you go up to the chat box, you can see the chat box of our meeting. Go up. I shared the file here. You can download. Okay, unirank 2222. Sorry, 2022. That's the file. And then the link above this link to register for my future workshops from week 2 to week 11. Okay. And if you cannot attend in person, I will record them. So you get a recording link once you register for the workshops. I will just send you the links of recording afterward. Okay. All right. So here in M2, I use the average. The average is calculate the average of a bunch of data. So if I get have my bunch of data, if I calculate average, I can have the like a 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's to calculate the average of 2, 3, 4, 5. I know that is what is that? 5, 14 plus 14 divided by 4, something, right? 3 something, I guess. Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. 3.5. Yeah. My brain's a bit frozen. But now our range of data I want is this column. Okay, I want the second column of the of the data range we get from the filtering function in G2. And how to refer to the second column of the results we get from the G2 using the filter function. We can use the index function here. So you can see here, index is to index a specific column or row or cell of a range of data. So you have to tell index the array of data, the row reference, and the column reference. So the index, the array of data is from G2. Remember, G2 is, you can highlight the cell, just click the cell and then go to the home and highlight the cell, use a color, whatever color you like. So our data comes from, this filtering result comes from the cell G2's formula. Okay, so if I just refer G2, go to any cell, if I just type G2 and enter, currently the value will be 5, right? But if I tell G2 hashtag, if I use G2 hashtag, that will refer to the dynamic array results from the formula in G2. So if I type G2 hashtag equal G2 hashtag, I will get a copy of the data, the whole dynamic array. Okay, so that's the new thing in Excel. Some people may not know. That's the new thing, very new thing, only a few years old. The hashtag thing. Okay, so for the index function, the array of data we refer to is G2 hashtag. That is the dynamic array results from the filter function in G2. So G2 hashtag, I want which row and which column I want. I want all the rows, so I put a 0, but I want column 2. So I put a 0, that's for row number. I want all the rows, but for column number, I want second column. That refers to, if I highlight index G2 hashtag comma 0, comma 2, bracket close. If I press F9, I check the middle step in there. If I press F9, that's the column 2 number. See, 62, 54, 71, 133, 88, 34, 44, 131. And they are separated by semicolons. In Excel, if you separate by something by semicolons in array, that means they are in different rows. Okay. Again, you don't have to remember those details. So basically, we know that using the index function, we can refer to the second column of the array of data returned by the filtering function in G2. Control Z, go back. And then the cool thing here is the new hashtag thing. That's the new syntax of Excel that come out with the dynamic array functions, the hashtag thing. Okay, so if I enter here, that will be the average of this column H. If I highlight this H, okay, if I hover to the bottom of my spreadsheet, I will see this average, 77.125. Okay. Yeah. Similarly, if I want to minimum or maximum, I just replace the function average with minimum and maximum. MIN for minimum, MAX for maximum. Okay. So the purpose for this exercise just show you that Excel has very cool. Nowadays, Excel has a lot of very cool functions. We can do things much easier than before. In previous years, we probably have to do this, get the same results using a very long, complicated formulas. But nowadays, just a few lines. Okay, maybe one line. Okay, this kind of dynamic array reference and this kind of cool stuff. Okay. Yeah. So if you have experience using Excel like 10 years ago, now it's time to kind of catch up some new skills. I mean, to make your life easier. Okay, yeah, because Excel is kind of constantly improving. All right. Okay, that's enough for the coding. Let's come to go to do some visualization. So let's say I want to compare. Here's my questions. My questions here. Let's compare the cities in Queensland. Let's compare the cities in Queensland. Now, because I want to introduce something called PivotTable. PivotTable is a very useful, very useful tool in Excel to quickly analyze data. PivotTable. So my question is to compare the cities in Queensland in terms of the university ranking. Okay, so how to insert PivotTable? You just go to, I have one here. I have the PivotTables here. So how to insert PivotTable of your data? First of all, make sure your data is set up as a block of data, like this. It's a nice block, nothing in the boundary column or cells. It's just a nice block of data. And then if you want to insert a PivotTable of this block of data, just randomly select a cell of your data range. Okay, and then go to insert PivotTable. Excel will automatically recognize your block data. You see the flashing dash line here? Flashing dash line. Excel will automatically highlight this block of data. And then by default, Excel will put your PivotTable in the new worksheet. That's okay. I'm okay with that. And if I click OK, I will get a PivotTable. Let's do it. Let's replicate it. Insert PivotTable. I'm okay with the new spreadsheet. Okay, and I click OK. I got a new spreadsheet. I got a blank PivotTable. Nothing going on there. Okay, it's just a blank PivotTable. This is the PivotTable that will show up if I design the columns and rows of table. So how to design column and rows of table? You click the PivotTable area. You see this PivotTable field lists. If you click out of the PivotTable, this field list should disappear. And if you want to add it back, click the PivotTable. If this PivotTable field list doesn't show up, you have to go to click the PivotTable and then go to PivotTable Analyze. Make sure the button is on. PivotTable field list button is on. Field list button is on. Okay. If you turn off this button, no matter how much you click the PivotTable, the field list will never reappear. So make sure the field list button is on. Yeah. Sometimes you want to turn it off because it takes some space off your screen. Sometimes you want to turn it off, but most of the time you turn it on. And then in the field list, you design your PivotTable. So I want to compare the cities in Queensland. So how do I do that? So I can drag the cities in my rows. In the rows of PivotTable, PivotTable will list the distinct values of cities. So some of the cities are not in Queensland. I don't want them. So how to get rid of them? I can drag the state and territory into the filter. Okay, so I drag the state territory into a filter. I drag the city variable in the rows, and then in the PivotTable, by default, in the filter, all the values will be selected. I just want to use Queensland, so I just highlight Queensland. You can also select multiple states if you want, okay? But for me, I just want Queensland and click OK. You can see the filter is applied only Queensland, and this rows only show the cities in Queensland. Okay, I mean according to the data. Okay, according to the data. So these are the states, cities in Queensland, and I want to compare the average. Compare number of universities. I can drag them. I can drag the variable universities in the values, or drag any single variable, because Excel will just calculate the number of entries in each cities. So Excel will calculate, okay, in Queensland, for each city, how many times the value each city is show up. So if I drag a variable like university, worldwide university rank into the values, Excel will by default calculate the sum of the numbers because the variable world university ranking, this variable column B, they are numbers. So if the variable you put in the value corner is a numerical variable, they are numbers, Excel will by default calculate the sum. So Excel will calculate, okay, in Queensland, when for the city that is Brisbane, for those universities, Excel will sum up their rankings, university worldwide rankings, okay? And for the next city, Gold Coast, Excel will sum up the university ranking. But what I don't want the sum. I just want the count of number of universities using each city as their home city. So I can left click this value, the variable in the value, and then click value field setting, and then request count. There are 11 functions here, but I just want to count, okay? So you can see in total, there are 8 universities in Queensland cities, and then 3 in Brisbane, 1 in Gold Coast, 1 in Rockhampton, 1 in Sunshine Coast, 1 in Toowoomba, and then 1 in Townsville. I think I guess this one in Townsville is probably James Cook. Toowoomba, Southern Queensland. Sunshine Coast is a University of Sunshine Coast. Rockhampton must be CQU, Central Queensland University, and Gold Coast maybe, what's in Gold Coast? Griffiths? No, but Bond, sorry, Bond. And then the 3 in Brisbane must be QUT, UQ, and Griffiths. Okay, these are the for the university that are in Brisbane. Sorry, that are in Queensland, and then the distribution of the number of universities in across this these 6 cities or councils. Okay, and then are you still with me? All good? No question? Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right, and then we can add a chart if you want to. You think the table is a bit boring. This is a frequency table. The frequency of this variable city in the group of Queensland in my data. If I want to have a data visualization of this or beyond the table, so I can insert a chart. So let's just highlight any single thing in the pivot table, and then go to insert. And which chart can I use? I will use a donut chart. Some people may use a pie chart, but I think the pie chart is kind of out of date because it's hard to read, hard to compare the size and angle. So let's use a donut chart. Donut chart is more recommended as a kind of replacement of pie chart these days. Just press donut chart. Look at donut chart here. Okay, and this donut chart, and then this field is a bit annoying. Just turn it off. Make my donut chart be bigger. Okay. You can add many chart elements. So by default, you have a chart title, the chart area, your legend. Okay. If you don't want the title, you can just click it and then delete it. Press delete button or right click delete. But if you want the title here and then want to make it dynamic, you can click the title and then go to the formula bar and press enter. Press equal sign, and then connect to a cell you want. Maybe maybe I'll connect to cell E1. Okay. Then every time I type something in E1, like uni include equals sign and connect to E1. Okay. So you can see I can connect my chart title with the cell E1. So if I type something in E1, the title will also change accordingly. Okay, so now I connect my chart title with the cell E1. So this could be useful if you are designing a dashboard or something. You want to make your chart dynamic. You can connect the chart title with the cell value. If you don't want the chart title, just delete it. Okay. You can see because my chart is what was created based on PivotTable. This chart is called a pivot chart, and all the pivot chart has the first of all, they are connected to the PivotTable, and then they have the we call this field buttons. You may not want them. Okay, they are dynamic. Okay, if you want you can modify a chart by changing the field button. Okay. But sometimes we don't want the field buttons. How to turn them off? Highlight the chart, go to design. Not design, sorry. Pivot chart analyze. And you can turn off the field buttons. Chart analyze, turn off the field. Those field buttons will disappear. Okay. And then here you can modify your chart. Maybe you don't want the legend to show up here. You can go to design and then add chart element, legend. You can put legend on the top. Okay, if you like. So highlight the chart, go to design, and then here you can modify the add chart elements, modify all the things. Okay. And if you want to make the hole smaller, you right click, format data series, and then we could make the donut hole a bit smaller in the middle. Format data series, yeah. So right click, format data series. We can make the hole a bit smaller. Oh, too small. This way. Okay. You can change your the angle of your slides if you need to. Explosion, I don't recommend doing that because that will make the reading very difficult. Maybe a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it's up to you. Of course, you can change the fading, the color, change the color, whatever color you like. Okay. You can change them one by one. Okay. And then if you want to make more change, just right click, format data series. And again, in the pin bucket, different types of order, different lines of order, maybe sketch lines, and then make it look like a hand draw effect. Okay, the line effect, the border and line type. Okay, and also the field, you can have a solid fill or maybe gradient fill. Okay, whatever fill you like. Lots of things you can modify. You can spend hours on that. Make it a little bit 3D effective. Okay, something like that. Okay. There are too many options in Excel. We can spend hours of days on that to make the chart you like. I just want to show you the options. Oh, what version? Good question. Yeah. So I'm using Excel. I'm using Excel 2000. I don't know, man. What is my Excel? I think anything above 2016 should be fine. Yeah. Anything, because 2016 is a big jump of Excel functionality. The things before 2016 is a bit different from the later version. So anything about 2016 should be all right. Most people these days are using 2016, 2019. And if you are using online Excel, it's also okay. The Office 365, you can use Excel online for free, and it's also good. Okay. Okay. Let's move up a little bit. Next. Yeah, I just forgot to show you. You can change your tab name. Change your tab name there, whatever you like. Okay. You can give a tab a color. It's important one. I make it red. So you imagine I have lots of tabs, spreadsheets. I can color coordinate them. Okay. So now we want to compare the average word ranking. So now I'm going to make a copy of my pivot chart. So I can copy my pivot chart. Sorry, pivot table. Control C, and then a few rows down, I can Control V, paste my pivot table. So I can make a quick copy of my pivot table. So in the second pivot table, let me turn on the field list. I want to calculate the average word ranking. So I don't want to count anymore. I want the average word ranking. And the previous pivot table is still there. The chart still there. No interference. Just for the second pivot table, I want the average of word ranking. And then I don't want this many decimals. I just go to highlight the cells and go to home and remove the decimals. And then I want to insert a bar chart to indicate the average word ranking. So insert this 2D column chart is good enough. This one, okay. Turn off the field buttons. I don't want the title. I don't want the series. And I don't want the grid lines. I don't want it. First of all, I want to rank my bars from lowest to highest. So currently, how to do it? I just go to a pivot table, right click, and sort from smallest to largest. The pivot table entries are sorted from smallest to largest according to the word ranking, average word ranking, and the pivot chart is also changed accordingly. Okay. And secondly, I want the bars to pointing down. Okay, I don't want to point up because it seems like the Sunshine Coast is best, or Rockhampton is the best. I want to point down. So how do I change the point down? You can just highlight the vertical link. So the vertical axis title, vertical axis, and then right click, format axis. Format axis, and then you want to show the values in reverse order. Okay, if you miss it, click the vertical axis and then right click, format axis. And then you will see this menu, and then you drop down, you see axis option, and then you choose value in reverse order. Value in reverse. Okay. And then of course you can also modify your the bars. You can click the bars and then right click, format data series. You can reduce the gap weights. Okay, reduce the gap weights, make the bars sticking closer. Okay, and also change the fitting. I use a gradient fill. Okay, whatever fill you like. Okay. Lots of things you can modify. You can stay there for hours to beautify your chart. I can also try to add the labels. Okay, so I can click the chart data series and then right click add data labels. Okay, so since I have data labels on the chart, I can delete this axis title. Okay. But I guess is this good? I just want to show the functions of the things. When this chart probably doesn't make sense. Doesn't make the perfect sense, I guess. It looks a bit scary. Anyway, any questions about these things I just demonstrated? pivot chart stuff. Yeah. You go to it should. You go to insert. We insert pivot table here first, and then once you have a pivot table, you can just insert chart like any other chart. Yeah. All right. Anything else? All right. The last one, I just want to quickly show you something before we leave, and also I have a attendance and feedback form for you guys to fill out, please, before you leave. I just put it posted here. Okay. This is the feedback form. Thanks. And also the attendance form. So how to get a map? It's very easy. So first of all, let's say I want to compare the average of university ranking across the states and territories. So I got this pivot table set up first. Okay, it's a pivot table. You see the pivot table? I put the nothing in filter. I put the states and territories in the rows, and put the work by ranking in the values and request the average. So now I get the worldwide ranking average of the of this 8 states and territories in Australia. Okay. It's in this pivot table. Now, if I want to use a map to represent these rankings, I can create such a map like here. How to get this map? The working order is a little bit different. So first of all, I need to highlight a blank or empty cell. It has to be empty. And then go to insert, and then go to this maps, and then insert field map. Currently, the map shows nothing because it doesn't connect to any data. It connects to a cell that is no data, it has no data in there. Okay. So what do? I do right click, select data. Again, right click, select data. And then currently there's a one series in there, and then there's only one empty cell, that's N20. You go to the series one, and then you click edit, and then we change the series values. Okay, you click this little button here. And then you highlight this average worldwide ranking in your pivot table. We want the data in this to show the values in this little range, N5 to N12. After that, click this little button, go back, and click OK. And for the horizontal category labels, we have to select the states and territory names. So again, highlight these guys. And then get your map here. You can connect this title to some cell values. So this is called a thematic map in geography. Okay, the map showing using colors or patterns to show the quantity of geometries. Okay. Of course, you can format data series. You can change the color, change the things if you like. Okay, those kind of stuff. You can change it. Okay, format data. Or double click, you can format, change the color, change the things. Currently, Excel is working on that. Microsoft is still working on the mapping function. It's not perfect, but I just show you, you can do things now in Excel. You can also even insert a 3D map. But again, that's a bit more complicated. So the purpose for today is not to cover all the details because we don't have time to do everything in 45 minutes. But I just want to show you Excel these days are very cool and it's getting better and better. And then we can do a lot of things using Excel. And any questions? Amanda has question, must be some other chart function then. What's this? You mean the map is not available?
Oh, it was when I was trying to play with the pivot table stuff.
So you got like this one, like you got a pivot table like here?
It was over on the other side, over on, maybe not the, maybe it was the pie chart one, I'm not sure. When I was clicking on the tables, I noticed that on the far left-hand side, no, sorry, right-hand side, it just popped up with a thing that said, no, not in your version. So I wasn't sure which chart it wasn't liking.
Ah, okay. But did you get a donut chart like this?
Yeah, I've got it there. It's just it might be the ability to alter stuff the way the new versions do it.
Okay, okay. Which Excel version are you using?
2016.
It's a little bit dated, a little bit, yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other questions before we conclude today? Oh, good. Thank you, John. Anyone else? This is by attendance feedback form. If you have a few seconds, just fill that out, please. And then this is the link to. Where's my link? This is the link to book for or register for future workshops. And then as I mentioned, they are mostly on Wednesdays lunchtime, 12 to 2 p.m. Occasionally on Tuesday and Friday, because I always use the same room, P block 419, but that room is not always available. So sometimes I change to Tuesdays and Friday, but most of the time on Wednesdays. And if you can't come in person, it's okay. Just register for the workshops, and I will record them, and then I will email the registrants the link to my recordings every week. Yeah. Okay, if you don't have any more questions, yeah, free to leave. I'm going to close this. Thank you, Natalie. I'm going to close this chat in 2 minutes. Okay. Thank you, Zara. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Amanda, John, and everyone else. Kim, Costa, Zara, Hugh, Kim, and yep, people leaving. Okay, all right. Yeah, I can turn off the recording now. Turn off the